In this section, we're going to cover with the same simple arm object, which I'm going to load right now. We're going to cover other ways of controlling this with bones. And the last time we showed, I showed how to use additional hold bones to achieve an effect, and how to control those and to use simple expressions and all that to do some muscle flexing and joint compensation, etc., etc. In this one, I'm gonna cover the use of weight maps. So the first thing I want to do is let's put this in bone X-ray mode, and let's add a child bone. Let's call it shoulder. T for move. Let's just put it right up here. That's a good spot. And let me change the bounding box threshold so we could get getting the flicker in there. Okay. And let's add a child bone with the equals key. Let's call this upper arm. And let's move this back here. Y for rotate. Point it down that way. Let's go to the front view, and then let's adjust the rest length. So I want the tip of the bone right about where the elbow's at. Y for rotate. Bias it back a little bit of rest length. A little more rotate a bit. Keyframe it there. Add a forearm. Okay, Y for rotate, get it right, lined up like so. This one I may want to come up a bit, which means this one comes down a bit. Okay, and as before, I think I'm going to rotate the pivot point on this so that the pitch is in the along where the heading is right now. Rotate pivot point tool, just right about there, degrees. Okay, Y for rotate. Okay, it's bending the right way. And then I want to adjust the rest length again, down like something like this, and then equals to add forearm twist bone. And again, the rest length. So right there. So we have basically our 3 or 4 bones in there that we've had before. One difference, so I just oriented this one down the Z. It's no big deal. Okay, once they're in there, let's just press them all. Hit the R key. Okay, so now we've got this one kind of working. Let's also go to our object properties and set subpatch subdivision order last, and let's also set the bone fall up to 128. Okay, so this is keyed in on frame 10. Okay, so we can see again that we have problems with the way the joint's bending and stuff like that. So what I'll do is I'll show you how another way to have greater control over this using weight maps. So I'm going to select the object, go back into Modeler, and weight maps are real simple. They're just ways of, in this particular use, it's a way of increasing the amount of bias that points have towards specific bones. So I'm going to select these points here in the forearm, and I'm going to go to weight map here, W, subpatch weight, but new, underneath subpatch weight. and I'm going to give it an initial value of 100%, and I'm going to call this one forum. And what I want to do here in the perspective window is change our render mode to weight shade. So you can see that that area now is now in red. Okay, and then I want to take these, and under map I want to set map value. So we've already created a weight map, we can just sort of add points to it. So these ones, I'm going to say the forearm, instead of getting 100% influence, I'm going to say these get 50% influence. Okay, and then you'll see that they get sort of a lighter pinker color. And then these ones, set map value, I'm going to say these get 20%. Okay, so you see it falling off basically. Okay, so these ones, okay, I'm going to create a new weight map right here, new, and 100% value. I'm going to say weight, the name, instead of the name weight, I'm going to call it upper arm. Okay, and these ones, even though they have a weight map already, the forearm, I'm going to set a map value for the upper arm at 50%. So what it means is now that these points in here are shared half with the forearm weight map and half with the upper arm weight map. And then these I'm going to also give 20% for the upper arm, like that. And then we can switch between those two maps like this, see? Okay, forearm, upper arm. All right, and then so this area in here, these points are actually shared between the forearm weight map and the upper arm weight map. But these points are definitely 100%, and or at least we'll say these are 100%, and then these are also 100% towards this one, with a little extra value on those. In fact, we can go in here, for example, and set the map value on the forearm map. We can say 80% instead of 100%, so it balances with that 20% from the upper arm weight map. But for right now, it doesn't really matter. We can try and see what this does for us. Let's go back into layout. Okay. And let's select this bone here, hit and go P for item properties, and we'll say this uses the upper arm weight map. This next bone, it uses the upper arm weight map. This bone, well, it uses the forearm weight map, and so does this one right here. Well, look how that affects it. We have much better deformation than we did before. See that? So this is one way we can control it. Now we also have the deformation in the joint here looks pretty good. Right here, the way it's folding and all that stuff. The elbow, however, and let's get a second light in here. Let's just clone this one. Oh, let's rotate it down. We also got to make sure that we can show like, I don't know, however many OpenGL lights. And let's drop the intensity on that one to about half, 50% or so. Just want to be able to see the elbow area. You see how the elbow's kind of mushing right there? So what we can do is go in here and kind of add some additional help to that. Okay, and one thing I always like to check too before I do any further adjusting is play with things like the rest length. See if that will help. And that kind of helps a little bit. Okay. And let's see. Get some twisting in there. It works pretty good. Okay, so that's a pretty good example of using those weight maps like that. Okay. Now one thing we can do too, if we go back in here to our bone properties, is you notice there's a thing that for each of those bones we can say use weight map only. And just for fun, let's turn off weight normalization. I'll explain what that does. Okay. And you can see that's doing some really bizarre things. Let's go back to each of these and let's apply weight normalization. And it kind of fixes it. Okay, because remember what we did was we had bones, we have some vertices in Modeler that have let's see. But anyway, so I was hoping to see the name of it right there, but it doesn't matter. We can see it here. Some of the vertices had greater than 100%. If you combine the total amount of weight maps, well, let's go back in the Modeler and look at that. Remember, like across here, we have 100%. In fact, we can hit I for info. And that point says, okay, we've got a forearm weight map of 100%, and we have a upper arm weight map of 100. I mean, of a 20%. That means we have 120% worth of weights total combined on that joint there. Okay. Which means that when we back in layout, when we said just use the weight map influence, in other words, we're not bothering with using the bone influence anymore. What happens is that it gets whacked out because we have these. We're shooting beyond 100%. So what weight normalization does is basically forces it to never get above 100%. So it basically drops the value of both down to something like instead of 120, it might be 90 and 10, something like that. So let's see what happens if we adjust that ourselves. By the way, that info command, the I key, is very useful, obviously. Also, one thing I wanted to stress is see how these points here are kind of forming these three cuts like this? Forming the cuts that way on the joint is very important because it helps to define how it's going to bend better. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to go in here, and I remember I had 100% on that. Let's say set map value, and let's go to the forearm one, and we'll say it's got 80%. And this one, let's hit I, let's see what we got there. Okay, 100% and 20, so we need the same thing. We need to kind of go in here and let's say set map value. Let's go to the upper arm. Let's say it's got 80%. And again, this one, so to make sure we did it on forearm, 8%. Okay, so now we don't have anything in here that has over let's see, let's try that one. We shouldn't have anything in here that has over 100% value on it. So let's go back in here and let's go here. And if we turn off normalization, let's see what that does. Might still do some goofy things, but not as bad as before. Okay. But basically that just helps keep things nice and neat. Okay, but it's not absolutely necessary, especially if you're using a combination of bone influence and weight maps like we're doing here. Those weight maps, in this case, just help to kind of keep influences where we want them. Okay, so let's kind of. So what do we do about that elbow? Let's try a little trick. I'm going to add a bone, add a child bone off that one called elbow. Y for rotate. T for move, and I'm going to put it right about there, in line with that. Keyframe it on 0, rest length, and just bring it down like that. Okay. And let's hit R to turn it on, rest it. Okay. And let's tell it's using the upper arm weight map. Okay. So what I wanted to do is I'm going to take this this bone's pitch, okay, and let's go to our graph editor. Okay, and I'm going to make an expression, a new one called elbow. Okay, and I just want to follow the rotation of this one. So right click, append to expression, and then I was going to put space slash space 2. So divided by 2. Okay. So let me get rid of that for a second. Now I'm going to pick the elbow, and his pitch, I mean his heading in red is going to follow this one's pitch. Okay. So let's go back here, and we'll shift D on these, clear them out, and then shift G to throw in that. And remember, it's the heading, so we just hit apply. Okay, we take the heading channel of the elbow, just apply it to that expression. See, there it is. Okay, and it's going the wrong way, no problem. We just go back to the expression, click there, and just put negative space. Okay. And if that doesn't work, let's see. Let's make sure that we're going the right way with that. Okay, put them in parentheses. I put times -1. Let's see what this does. Okay, and let's look at that again. I was going in a negative direction, so I went the other one in a positive direction. Let's try this one more time here. I'm just put the minus right here in front of that, and let's check this out. Okay, it's been in the right way. We just need to now give it an offset. Let's see if we can do that right here. Okay, so let's put a pair in there and a right pair in there and put +5. Okay, let's put -25. Okay, this is just guess, but it seemed to work. And let's just put a gap in there. Okay, so let's try -60, -90. There we go. Okay. So you can see now that what the expression, what it does is it says take the pitch, divide it in half, which means it's going to be, this will rotate half as much as this one's rotating, and it'll influence that. It'll keep that elbow from looking pretty good. Okay, we can see that. So it keeps the elbow, the shape of the elbow. Okay. So this is a good exercise. I'd recommend giving it a try. Experiment with the weight maps, because the reason we're not jumping into the character, as I mentioned before, is because I want everyone to understand how these bones are working on this level. Okay. Other things we can do too, like right at the moment, see how this is not lined up with the elbow. Let's watch it, hit T for move. Watch this. Move it where it should be, even though it's stretching. I know that. Just enter, and then hit R again. Pops right back. Okay, I can adjust the rest length on this. Okay, and if one thing, if you notice, when I move this and I re-rested it, it rests everything downstream from it too. You know, its child was re-rested. So it's actually fairly easy to adjust this stuff, even when it's in there. But again, I'm wanting everyone to get the idea of how things are working on this level. Simple ways to fix this stuff, because when we go through and do the rest of this body, pretty much we're going to be doing the same thing on the arms, the legs, the elbow and knee joints. Okay. Another tricky area is going to be around the shoulders. So this is something we're going to have to be some things we have to be aware of. Okay. So we've got this. One thing that we haven't really messed with, we can certainly mess with right now, is joint compensation, muscle flexing. You can see as I turn these on and off that something's happening. So they do still work. Okay. Okay, joint compensation, muscle flexing. See that? How it. And it is doing some stuff. Let's try 500. Let's try 500 on this one. Okay, so you can definitely see it's doing some stuff. So whether you need it or not with weight maps, it's a matter of opinion. The same things we did before on the other one, where we're using additional bones, kit will work as well to to give us better muscle flexing or joint compensation. But I'm going to go ahead and stop here and let everybody work through this in the same way. So go ahead and try this out and get used to how these weight maps work and how they influence and so on and so forth.